we're going to get so many new characters in Marvel Rivals over the next few months, but the question is, who's coming next and how can we find out? Well, besides the leaks, there's a lot of information hidden in the game that the devs have purposely put there to give us a little bit of a clue about what characters are coming next. Now, Blade is still snoozing. No idea if he's ever going to wake up. I mean, fighting vampires can be pretty exhausting. My guess he's probably going to be released around season 25 at this point. He's got a lot of sleep to catch up on. However, besides Blade, we have a lot of other characters that could be coming to the game within this year. All of these characters have been teased in-game, so it really suggests the devs want us to know about them and get our hopes and excitement about what these characters could be. And as you can see on the boards above me, we've got a few characters to talk about today, starting with good old Professor X. Professor X is probably one of the most diverse characters when it comes to his set of abilities, but we all know him for his amazing Omega Brain. Yeah, he's got a big brain and he's capable of doing a lot of things with it. And unlike me, I struggle to do simple mathematics at this point. Anyway, what could Professor X's abilities actually be in the game? Well, if we take a look through his abilities in the Marvel lore, we can get a good idea of what he could be capable of in Marvel Rivals and what role he's most likely to fit in. He's got the ability to basically do anything he could want with his mind, whether it's mind control, mind blasts, telepathy, psionic blasts, telekinesis, and even a special ability called telepathic camouflage that will allow anyone he wants to not be able to see him. He tricks other people's brains into not being able to see in front of them. So even though it's not a real camouflage, it kind of could work like that in Marvel Rivals, and I think that's the approach they could go. Perhaps Professor X could have some sort of mind-bending abilities to camouflage himself or his teammates. He also has the ability to create a very strong mental shield that can block other telepaths from invading that person's mind. Now, in terms of actual gameplay, I think this could be stretched a little bit to allow Professor X to create a actual shield that blocks incoming damage. We've seen this kind of mend and bend of abilities to kind of fit the roles of Vanguard strategist and duelist already. So in my opinion, a strong mental shield could be a great strategist ability that he could place on other characters, similar to the Magneto bubble we've got now, but perhaps in a little bit of a different manner. I think the telepathic camouflage could be a great ability that he could provide to his teammates as well. Obviously, this is all talking about the lore of Professor X and how it could potentially fit into a character in the game itself. As a basic attack, a simple mind blast or some kind of psionic blast could work really well. There's so many different ways that they could showcase this in the game. We've already seen that in the case of Emma Frost. Her mind powers are basically just a weird laser beam that she has to reload. It's actually kind of weird, like reloading your brain. How does that work? Oh yeah, I guess that's what Blade is doing right now. But he's been reloading for a very long time. To my knowledge, Professor X is probably going to end up being a strategist, though judging by his ability set, it makes the most sense to me. Now, what about Hive? Hive is a character that is kind of making the rounds online at the moment. Is he going to come to the game? Is he not? What's the real story behind it? Well, I think there was a concept art that kind of further illustrated that Hive could be coming. And in fact, one of the maps in the game even has a lot of lore all about Hive. So it's very clear that Hive is on the Marvel Rival devs' minds. Whether or not they want to make him a character now or in the future, it seems likely that they're definitely in that planning stage already and have had talks about it, just by judging about the lore stuff in the game already. Now, who is Hive and what could we expect from their abilities? Well, actually on paper, there isn't really much about Hive in terms of like his offensive power. He can do a couple things, and I do want to talk about those today. And I think with the knowledge we have of Hive in the Marvel lore, it really does make sense what kind of character Hive will end up being. Firstly, as the name suggests, it's not actually a single person. Hive is actually a collection of parasites created by Hydra, and they can infect pretty much anyone they want to. They can possess other people or even use their parasitic sort of beings to go and reanimate the dead, which is pretty interesting. Now, that could lean its way towards the strategist side of things potentially, but I'm thinking more than likely Hive is going to be a Vanguard. One of the main things about Hive is they are essentially invulnerable. You can't kill Hive because it's just a massive giant blob of parasites that are sort of formed and fused into one being. And, you know, when you have that situation going, it doesn't matter how many of these parasites you kill, the main thing is still just going to keep growing. Now, in the lore, the Hive has sort of taken over a human's body, and that's kind of why they're able to take this form. But either way, they're a very tough, very tanky being, and I think that really makes sense for them to be a vanguard. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hive has a very limited selection of attacks. They can sort of do like a ranged attack in lore. Some of the parasites can be shot out of the main body towards a target as a projectile and deal damage. So there's probably going to be some sort of ranged attack there. Maybe like the same kind of range as Groot. But overall, I imagine Hive is just going to be one of the tankiest characters we've ever seen, and maybe the damage output might be a bit lower. We've next got a bundle of characters to talk about. A duo, in fact, that were both teased together in one of the Marvel Rivals events in very tiny, teeny text. Obviously, one of the devs at Marvel Rivals was just feeling like having a bit of fun and sneaking this in there to get us hyped about what heroes could be coming up next. So those two were Jean Grey and Elixir. Now, we know a little bit about Jean Grey, right? Most Marvel Rivals or Marvel fans at that will know about Jean Grey. She's got strong telekinesis abilities, telepathy abilities, and her main sort of deal is this phoenix form. And I'm sure in Marvel Rivals, they're probably going to illustrate that as this big fiery attack that's going to be part of her ultimate kit. To me, that seems like a very strong, powerful duelist ability, and I think that would make the most sense. We've already got some telekinesis, telepathy abilities on Emma Frost, as, you know, she's the vanguard, and if Professor X comes out, then, you know, it makes sense he'll be a strategist. So I think we deserve to have one of these mind control sort of characters as a duelist as well, and Jean Grey would certainly fit that role. And then we have Elixir, and I think Elixir could be one of the most fun strategist heroes in Marvel Rivals. There's a chance he won't be a strategist, but it's like a 0.1% chance if we take a look at his abilities. He's capable of regenerating any sort of injuries or damage on himself or anybody else. He can resurrect people from the dead and even revive himself from the dead. That's a part of his base abilities in the Marvel lore, which is quite crazy. Now, one of the really unique things about Elixir, though, is when he uses his resurrection or reviving abilities on other people, that will actually damage himself and make himself weaker. So I'm wondering if he could have some kind of like life drain feature where the more healing he puts out, the lower his health goes. But there may not be necessarily a cooldown for his abilities, but you just got to play with fire a little bit and play with fate in terms of lowering your own health to boost up your teammates' health, and then maybe you got some regeneration over time for yourself as well. I think that would be a very fun, high-skill strategist playstyle that I would love to see in the game. And I think it would be good to see some more resurrection and revival type skills, with Adam Warlock only really being the main one. And of course, we've got Rocket's tactical as well. But yeah, another reviver strategist could be really, really cool. And then, of course, we've got Ultron and Blade. Ultron, yeah, it's going to be a strategist. We even saw pictures of it, and, well, they're going to be coming very, very soon. Don't know about their abilities. I'm sure there's information online, but we're going to skip over that. Let's talk about Blade next. Blade, to me, is the one character that I've been looking out for a while. I think they'll be a duelist. Makes the most sense. They are very skilled with all sorts of weaponry. They are like part vampire at this point, so that's going to lend into their kit. Blade specifically has like a super speed dash. That would be a really awesome movement ability for him, and I hope they put that into his kit. He's also got a giant double-edged blade that's even seen in his model in Marvel Rivals, and I'm sure that's going to be sort of one of his main damage-dealing abilities. But I'm also hoping they don't sort of step away from Blade's potential for long range as well. Whilst it would be fun to have a lot of melee attacks for Blade, he has a lot of weaponry experience, whether it's crossbows, darts, vampire stakes, machine guns, all sorts of weapons. So something a bit longer range I think would be really good. Whether that's an ultimate or just like an extra ability, I'm not sure. We'll have to see. It's definitely going to be a very versatile character that could fit all sorts of roles. So that's a look at all of the characters that are probably going to come very soon to Marvel Rivals. I'm guessing throughout this year. Are you excited? Let me know. And who would you like to see in Marvel Rivals that hasn't been teased yet? Let me know, and I'll see you in the comments. Cheerio.